It's a big day for Nigeria, and of course, today determines, well, I say the future of the country to a very large extent. For some months now, of course, the country has been back and forth in terms of what will eventually be the outcome of the ongoing Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, which has been on since, of course, the elections that happened earlier in the year. Today, the announcement of the result will be made, and there's a lot of, I don't want to use the word tension, but yeah, political tension in the air. And of course, we at News Central have given you this special to keep you up to speed in real time as regards the happenings. And of course, I'm not alone. Of course, in the studio with me is News Central's Adeleru-Balogun and of course, Gbenga Aborowa. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you so much, of course, Dapo. We are glad to be here with you. What is a momentous day, some would say quite historic for Nigeria, as we await the decision of the 5-member tribunal, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, that's going to be deciding on 3 cases today. Now, we have correspondents spread out across the country that will be giving us the mood of the citizens and, of course, letting us know what people think as more of the decisions become quite clear. So today, clarity, clearness, and of course, a direction for Nigeria.
And of course, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal verdict will be broadcast live, so Nigerians get the opportunity to witness the proceedings in real time. And of course, here at News Central, we will be right there to broadcast the news, the events and proceedings, the verdict live to you.
All right. it's going to be one of those days because there's a lot of information. So
Absolutely.
Just quickly telling you guys, there are 3 cases that are going to be determined today. That's Peter Gregory Obi and Anor versus the Independent National Electoral Commission and 3 others. The Allied People's Movement versus INEC and 4 others. And Abarka Atiku and Anor versus Independent National Electoral Commission and as well 2 others. But let's go to our correspondents. We'll start with Amadin, our Abuja correspondent and our Abuja bureau chief, as he gives us the feel of things on the streets in Abuja. Amadin, good morning to you. Just quickly run us through, what are things feeling like? What's the sort of pressure or the tension or the atmosphere that you're getting in the air right now?
Good morning, Tolu. Now, Tolu, remember that this case has come to be one of the most publicized presidential election tribunal cases in the last few years. This is because, just as you said, there are more than three major parties who are interested in the outcome of this case and have sent petitions to the Presidential Election Petitions Court. Now, but let's first tell you, from last night, we observed a heavy presence of security personnel. The police are on high alert. The army, they are on high alert. Last night, we observed that the police are deployed to several areas around the Court of Appeal premises. Several junctions to stop people from going in. You have to go with a special accreditation tag before you are given thoroughfare into the Court of Appeal premises. Now, also this morning, we witnessed military personnel on the shore sort of patrolling around the city center. Fortunately, the 2-day warning strike today is the second day of the 2-day warning strike. So the Federal Secretariat complex, which is usually a beehive of activities and is close to the Court of Appeal premises, the Federal Secretariat is very, very sparse. Information we received yesterday was that even the Court of Appeal told its staff that those without their special accreditation will not be allowed into the Court of Appeal premises. If you can look, if you see behind me, you see a group, a pro-Tinubu group, loyal to former Niger Delta militant leader Saheed Okubo, who had come here to show their solidarity for the president, saying that they are expecting that the tribunal, the judgment of the tribunal will swing the way of Mr. President. There's tension in the air, but within the city center, because of the barricades, people are not coming inside the city center, but there is still movement and normal business activities going on at the satellite communities. Early this morning, we got wind that the entrance leading into the city center from the Nyanya axis had been barricaded by the military, and there was a very, very, very heavy presence, a heavy traffic build-up at that route. So far, so good. We are outside the Court of Appeal premises. We are watching events as they unfold from here and watching reactions from Nigerians.
Now, Amadin, thank you for giving us that update. Do you have any information of when the verdict, the proceedings and the live broadcast is likely to start?
It was supposed to have started by 9 a.m., but I think by this time, from reports we have gotten within the Court of Appeal premises, there was a lot of checks. They had to check people to ensure that beyond having the accreditation tag, there's another list which your name has to be on that list before they allow you in. So I think once that is settled, maybe the tribunal sitting will commence immediately. But the judgment is not going to be swift, because from information we heard is that there are three major candidates petitioning the victory of President Bola Tinubu. So each of those cases will be taken one by one before they are all consolidated into one, and then the judgment will be announced by the tribunal panel of judges.
All right, so Amadin, I might just need to take you back a bit, particularly on security matters. Now, we know that days before now, there was a report from the DSS concerning probable, violent protest. What has been done to ensure that, behind you, you said you are, we can see supporters or people, trying to, coming together to ensure that, they support the incumbent. That's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What is being done to ensure that they are able to, screen these people? Should people come out to protest? It's their fundamental right, and ensure that they are not violent. What is any update as regards what the DSS is doing on that?
Now, what the police is doing, the police is not stopping protesters from coming to protest. The police are stopping people who do not have the right accreditation into the Court of Appeal premises. We have been here for some time, though we have not seen an anti-Tinubu protest, but where the police has not really disturbed those who are here singing and dancing, chanting songs of solidarity. Now, remember, like I said, from yesterday night, we witnessed deployment of personnel of the Nigerian police force at strategic locations within the city center. Now, what they are doing is that they are stopping people from accessing the venue of the Court of Appeal complex. This morning, we also witnessed police vehicles, anti-riot vehicles, and we saw them going around. They have been deployed to the vicinity around here to ensure that if you are coming as a troublemaker, they will handle that issue. Because remember, several days before now, the police had warned, the Nigerian army had warned that anybody who would want to come and foment any kind of trouble will be dealt with. So at that level, there have been barricades at several junctions going into the Court of Appeal complex, and you have to have that special accreditation which was given yesterday before you can access the venue.
All right, Amadin, now we've seen some images from the courtroom already this morning, just people going in, those of course who have been accredited and checked as well. Hopefully we'll get some of those images back up for you now. But Nigerians and indeed the African continent as well as the world are waiting to see what happens with this presidential election petition tribunal. So from here, what else should we be expecting today? Given that we've seen Asari Dokubo and his supporters, do we anticipate seeing supporters from the Labour Party, which is involved in this case as well as the People's Democratic Party? You haven't mentioned any of them. So what do we know about maybe those who are supporting them and the potential for them to also be present outside the court premises? Very quickly, Amadin, because we need to go to Niyi. All right, so it seems that technology is there, but we'll move right now to Niyi Omoniyi, who is on the streets of Lagos, also just feeling the sentiment in the air as Nigerians await a very momentous decision. Now, Niyi Omoniyi, let us know what's happening. Where are you and how are things looking right now?
Well, Tolu, I'm currently at Ogba, Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. Although we could understand that this is not where the main thing is happening. But equally, we all know that whatever happens in Lagos is a ripple effect, and it could actually transmit or predict what could actually happen in other states, not leaving out the fact that Abuja is the main place where the where the trial is going to occur. But we were here yesterday as well, just to feel the pulse of the people, to understand how they feel or what their expectation will be for this trial that everyone, the whole Nigeria is anticipating. I'm here with Comrade Akindele.
Yes,
Comrade, you've seen the process of these petition tribunal so far. What has been your own assessment?
Normally, my brother, Nigeria is a country, yet it's not a country.
And why would you say that?
The constitution of this nation. Is it not going to be in this hour that they will say the tribunal is talking after when you have installed the president? This system, they are wrong.
So let me get this straight. Are you saying the tribunal shouldn't have been orchestrated in the first place? Once the president is installed, they should forget about it?
They have to do all this constitution to favor people. They do this to favor themselves. Tinubu now is a commander-in-chief of the nation. Now, who is going to talk about him now that he doesn't win election? Nigeria is a jungle. It's not a country. Brother.
All right, Niyi.
Thank you, Comrade Akindele. I'm here also with Mr. Raf, who I was speaking with earlier and shared his own opinion about his assessment so far of the judiciary. You mentioned something about transparency of the judicial system, the tribunal specifically. Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, transparency, I mean, of the judiciary should be a total outright interpretation or review of Nigerian constitution. There are many things, made mention within that are embedded on our electoral system in Nigeria. See, if you don't have 25% in some states, in some area like FCT, Abuja, you are nobody. Even if you got other percentages in other states, your election is questionable. But this time around, we've seen what played out in 1999 from Obasanjo till the current, regime. Obasanjo scored more than 60. Yes, Yar'Adua scored more than 60. I mean, FCT at FCT level. And other states, it played out. But this time around, we've seen an illegitimate government whereby Tinubu did not score up to 20%. Obi scored 61% at FCT. You see it? So failure to give it to Obi today, that's mean that our constitutional law.
All right, so we'll get back to Niyi Omoniyi there. But of course, as a democracy, a constitutional democracy, Nigeria has laws, rules, and processes. And that's, of course, what the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is part of in this situation. Now, parties that want to contest the results of the presidential election have 21 days to do so from the day that INEC announces the results. And we know that 5 parties were able to do so. 2 political parties, I beg your pardon, dropped along the way, and we're left with the 3 parties to the judgments that will be hearing the decisions in their case today. So it is very important that while many people have emotions and opinions attached to the situation and to the current government as well, we respect the fact that Nigeria is a democracy. This is a legal and constitutional process that is at play right now. And I think one of the things, as I heard this morning on radio coming in, is that Nigerians will have to learn to manage their expectations. The court is going to rule on the cases before it, what has been brought before it, the evidence before it, and will rule on a matter of law. So I think there's going to have to be a lot of managing expectations that Nigerians do today.
And I'm very happy that the proceedings will be broadcast
televised.
Live. So as people won't say, there's hanky-panky or they're doing, they're sweeping things on the carpet. There are 5 Supreme Court justices that will deliberate on the case before them, before they issue a verdict. And they would explain the process. And like Amadin said, it's not going to be a fast process. It's going to be very thorough. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will get that education of how the judiciary works, and they'll determine how they came about the verdict. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I mean, just like one of the, respondees said, Nigeria is actually not a jungle. We need to clarify that. Nigeria has rules, has laws, And of course, we're in a democracy. I think why you have this kind of reaction is because people do not, over time, trust the system, right? We've seen cases, I mean, if we are to be frank, we've seen cases where they used to say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. I mean, for many, you might want to ask, is that really so? But even in spite of all of that, you would also want to say that democracy is a process, and Nigeria is in that process, right? We might not have it totally right, but of course, we're in the process of perfection. At least people have the freedom to speak. Right?
Yeah, but you should also be careful.
Be careful,
about,
about what you say.
Have all the information.
Yes.
So as we talk about the process, you can see live on your screens, we are in the courtroom for what, again, is a very momentous decision that will be made today by the 5-member panel of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal in 3 matters today. Those are the matters, of course, of Peter Obi versus INEC and a few others, Atiku Abubakar versus INEC and a few others, as well as the Allied People's Movement versus INEC and a few others. And there are a number of prayers that we know that have been put forth by each of the not defendants, each of the parties in this matter. So let's quickly run through what Peter Obi has put forth as his prayers. This also involves Peter Obi, his vice presidential running mate, and the Labour Party. Now, they're arguing that Bola Tinubu should not have been eligible to run for the top office. There's also a question of whether Bola Tinubu, having failed to score 1/4 of the votes cast at the presidential election in the Federal Capital Territory, was not entitled to be declared and returned as the winner of the presidential election held on February 25th. So this is also one of the big parts of the case that many people will be keeping an eye on, that 25% involving the FCT. Is it an and or kind of situation? And I think at this point we'll see a movement towards putting that to bed, but it likely will end up in the Supreme Court. Then we also have Peter Obi and his party also praying that the courts order the cancellation of the February 25th presidential election. Now, in addition to that cancellation, the LP also wants the court to compel INEC to conduct a fresh election. And finally, on the prayers, also praying to make an order that ensures Tinubu and his running mate do not run in the fresh elections. Let's get straight into the courtroom in Abuja.
And Martis F. Ekpa, Esquire, we appear for the first respondent. May you please, my lords.